Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect One Word Conversations. One Word Conversations is a self-discovery, relationship building conversation designed to help you, let's say, look at our language to see how there are some words that we use that we think that we're causing connection, but maybe causing a disconnection, because words don't just come with definitions. They come with stories and feelings and emotions and all those other things. So we can be getting all these lovely words together and still have challenges. One Word Conversation is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to help you be yourself and live your life. One way that I spotlight what's available at IamWilliamBrown.com is our U cards. Our U cards are intention setting cards, journal prompts, and also a game. So the cards that I picked for this conversation to really help us kind of guide us along is I am curious, you are unique, and there is no one youer than you. So this is the moment where I ask you to ask questions, share, do all those things to let me know that you're a part of this conversation. So our word today is contentment. You know, I've been having a conversation with myself and a number of different ways that I show up online about being enough, right? And so having this conversation about contentment, that's the other side of enough, like I have enough, right? So with that in mind, I am going to bring my guest in so we can have a conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, William. Thank you for having me.
This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable to them.
Hi, William. Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for having me. So my name is Pam Drzewiecki, and I'm the owner of Powerful Purpose. I come off of a 28-year career in the insurance industry and then started my business about 4 years ago. And I help professional women and female entrepreneurs, and actually all women, live their best life in their career, in their professional career, their business, and make it all happen. Being productivity and leadership coach, I really honor the different hats that we all wear in our lives. And I love this concept about the one word conversation. It's fantastic.
Well, that's great. You know, sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes things work out for me, right? So
Exactly.
the question of the day is, how does the word contentment land for you?
Contentment. So the other day, I think it was late last year, I was speaking to somebody that's in my community, and this word really struck me when I asked her, what is the one word that describes how you're feeling? And
Mm,
I thought it was so fascinating that despite everything that was going on during 2020,
mhm,
and that she was or is a wife of somebody in the military,
mhm.
um, active duty, and has 3 kids and has her own business and just thrives. Her word was contentment.
Wow.
And I just thought that was absolutely fascinating that I started thinking about that. How do you become content?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that there was, for me, that word wasn't used as a place of power, right? It
Mhm.
was to put me in my place, right? Because, I wanted more, I saw more, I felt like there was more, and I was reminded by people in my family, and people around me, it's like, aren't you content with anything? Can't you just kind of accept that? And it's like, yeah, but right,
Mhm,
and
that
you
big
want
what.
to, right, and you it feels like you're pulling you something. So really embracing, I guess, the power or a power of contentment is great, because there's a level of peace, right? There's a I feel that there's a level of assurance
Mhm.
that no matter what's going on, this is how you're showing up, and this is how you feel about it, and that's who doesn't want that for their life.
Absolutely. The joy behind that word is unbelievable to
Mm,
me. And as you said, the really the feeling of peace. When I lived in a life of chaos,
mm,
um, many moons ago, to my previous husband, lived in a life of chaos.
mm.
That word wasn't anywhere near my vocabulary. That word
Right,
contentment. And when you don't have that word contentment, I found for myself and others that can't use that word, I found that they were unsettled, right? And
mm,
that
right,
they were constantly seeking something. And either it was purchasing more things or eating food or drinking or whatever it was to fulfill that void, that
right.
empty space. It seemed to come up a lot when that word contentment wasn't in my life.
Right. I have a conversation around self-awareness. That's a big
Mm,
part of my coaching, and um, I believe, and so I'm still like working this out for myself, and I ask my clients to try this on. I believe the more that we know about ourselves, the more that contentment can really show up,
mhm,
because then we're not looking for this external type of thing. There's a framework of be, do, have, right?
mhm,
So we are conditioned, I believe, to do, so we can have, and then we'll worry about who we are, what that. And then
mhm,
there's not a level of fulfillment with all that stuff because it's not connect to us. It's not connected to anything from us. So the more that as I say, that you recognize who you be, then how your being has a doing. So then you show up
mhm,
that, and that's the powerful purpose. When you think, because I believe that we are purpose. My purpose isn't outside of me. I am purpose. The fact that I am here, and the more that I embrace myself and understand who I am, then I can show up in any situation with purpose, and contentment and all of those things. And it's like, and I think, you know when contentment was coming up for me in the past before, that it was a difficult word for me because I didn't have a level of self-awareness. I
mm,
had this is what was expected of me. This is what people thought I was. I had all those different ways of showing up, but I had no, that I wasn't content with myself, right?
right.
So I couldn't find contentment any other place.
Yes, and that's usually where it starts first, right? It
Hmm.
starts right here first.
Hmm.
Is finding it deep inside of whatever foundation that you use to have,
Right,
and that brings me to my contentment. you
right.
know our youngest daughter's 14, and our oldest is 20, almost 25 now. So
Well,
there was a whole time of searching for contentment, and it was there until, my goodness, I think I was in my 40s when I really started feeling that word contentment.
hmm,
And the past 14 years has been so filled with contentment. And
hmm,
even though there was other things going on that were out of my control during this period of time,
right.
it kept on coming back, because as you say, I started feeling more aware of
Hmm,
what it was that I truly needed. So I wasn't reacting so much to outside influences. And that,
right.
2020 was a perfect example of that. Is how are we reacting to what's going on? And for this woman to say that she was content, had contentment at the end of the year,
Right.
during a very trial year filled with the way her lifestyle was.
Right.
This was just very powerful. And what had come to me was every day when I put our daughter on the bus, I always tell her to lead with a kind heart.
Hmm.
And the reason why I do that, because I think if she leads with a kind heart, she'll feel that contentment.
Hmm.
And, as a child, you don't know if they're listening or not, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay, Mom. For the 100th time, thanks for that message.
Right.
But one day, I think she was like in 6th grade, the bus was pulling away and it stopped.
Hmm.
And the window came down and she said, Mom, you didn't say it.
Wow.
And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, you are listening. How
Right.
beautiful. So it circles back around. This is the reason why, William, I love what you're doing, because
Hmm.
words really do matter. And the
Right.
feelings that go with those words are so powerful.
Right.
And this is part of the work that I do too. And I thought it just felt really connected to do this with you,
Right.
because of that. And because it fills me and if two of us could send the same message out, I think it's so strong, right?
Yeah.
Um, and feeling that contentment word is just so powerful, and it comes in so many different ways.
Right.
But you have to be aware. You have to be open
Right.
to see it.
Yeah. I really, I've been doing this show for a while, and it's like for a long time and not a long time at all, right? So
Yeah, right.
it's not even a year yet. Um, but I realized very quickly, even though that I would say things like, words are important and words have power, all those things that we say, right? I
Mm-hmm.
realized that I was very um, lax with my words. I was very almost reckless, right? I was just saying things and then having people deal with what I was saying
Mm-hmm.
and not really recognizing, the stories or the emotions or the feelings that people had, with those words. And it's like to have your daughter to just say, whoa, 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 mommy, you didn't say it. Stop the bus, right? Right.
Right.
It is that, because, like I said, I don't, we make up stories, but, I can just see it's like, hey, I want to have a wonderful day. There's an opportunity where kindness, needs to show up in my life. And I want to get the charge from my mom to lead that way, because I may forget, right? Right. Or
Right.
something. And, and, and it is one of those things that I say within my communication and in my coaching, that don't look for perfect communication. Look for perfecting communication.
Mm.
And really, most of the times when I look for perfect communication, I'm looking for the perfect word, the perfect setting, the perfect timing, all that other kind of stuff, which doesn't exist. And so
Mhm.
when it doesn't exist, I am now not in communication, because I don't say anything, because I'm waiting for that, all the planets to align and all that kind of stuff. And so what happens for me, I don't know if it happens for you or anybody else, that when I'm not in communication, um, I create stories, right? you know,
Yes.
there are things. Well, okay, I'm not saying this because of this. I'm not saying this because, and it has nothing
Mhm.
to do with the reality of what is going
What's
on,
going on?
right? And so the more that I say what I'm going to say, and be willing to have that one word conversation. If I say something to my wife and I get that look on her face like, what the heck did you just say there? I will ask, what word, what was it? What did I say that there is a challenge? And I realize that there were many years in my marriage that I just said what I said. You can frown your face up all you want, and I'm just kind of moving along. I said that to my kids. I said that to my coworkers and everything. But the more that I am willing to not just say something, but be willing to be with the person and how they're receiving it, there's a level for me, there's a level of contentment. There's a level of happiness that,
Mm,
hey, I am not just bullying myself on people, but I
mhm.
am with people. I can say that relationships and people are important, but then I have language that doesn't say, the same thing. And I think that's what this time and this moment is inviting us to do.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. I mean, I know as a child, it was if I apologized for something, the same thing a couple times in a row, right?
Right.
Um, Actions speak stronger than words, Pam. That
Right.
I'm sorry, right?
Hmm.
Doesn't mean anything if your actions aren't and your
Right.
feelings aren't
Right.
portraying that, right?
Right.
So feelings are so strong. I'm in the middle right now of a 31-day affirmation challenge with
Mm.
women that I put the charge out there, hey, does anybody want to be part of this? And
Right.
the yes, I am part of it, it was overwhelming. And I think it
Mm.
really has to say of people are looking for real, right?
Right. Got
Authenticity.
it.
And the resolutions and stuff aren't as big. They want to know how they're supposed to feel or how they want to feel when they reach their goals,
Right.
and feel that contentment. And
Right.
one of the biggest things what's today? I don't know what day it is, but we're in the middle of the challenge of the 31
Great.
day challenge. And
Great.
and the biggest one was I am enough. That's
Right.
the one that
Wow.
I got the most feedback from, like, wow,
Right.
when I journaled on this, it was amazing, right? It was amazing, but it was hard at the same time.
Right.
So, and I think that speaks to the word contentment.
Yeah. I think there is. I do a word of the year, and
Mhm,
it's like a week into the word of a week into the year, I changed my word, and that
mhm,
was. I've mentioned on the show before that I have an unhealthy relationship with consistency. And so sometimes when something doesn't work, I still do it because I said that I was going to do it and I'll just keep doing it. So,
mhm.
but my word was um, transcend.
Mm.
And it was like, okay, I got it. It was a stretchy word. It was, it felt like a spiritual word for me. It felt like there was a lot of things that it was calling me to it. But the fear that I had with it was I didn't want to have like spiritual bypassing, that it was like I wouldn't be present and I would just transcend this and just kind of be, somewhere else.
Right.
So it was always, there was this unease. And then, I had a friend say, you know what, maybe that's your word, maybe it's not, but do a little exercise, just do a definition of, of your word and just follow the words that like stick out within the definition. And so every time a word
Mhm.
sticks out, just go to the next word, this next word. So I did it about 4 different words, and I got to my new one word of the year, which is greater.
Ooh.
And it has so much more, and it says so much energy to it, and so it's like pulling me. And so I bring this into this conversation because um, there is this contentment of my life, but recognizing there's a greatness, or there's a greater of my life.
Mm.
And so the more that I can just be with and have appreciation and gratitude for everything that's around me, the difficult, grateful for it all, right?
Mhm.
Good, bad, ugly,
Right.
terrible, just be grateful for it all. I think it pulls me to the greater of my life, and it caused me to show up fully. And so it's, like I said, it's sometimes, some days it's a difficult balance because you look around and go, I don't like this, right? I'm
Right.
not, right. I have no gratitude for this, I don't appreciate any of this, right? But without that, you can't move to the next, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, crap, right? So it's really, the power and the invitation of contentment
Mm,
um, is just
yeah.
available for us.
I just it is so powerful, and I just love the feeling. So while I am doing, my planning for the year, I create I call it the roadmap to sanity, right? And
Great.
in the
Great.
middle is the word of the year. And then from there, there's 8 buckets of our
Mm,
life, because balance is a tricky word. There's really
right.
no balance.
Right.
It all depends on what area needs the most energy, and that you
Right.
just right that you just shift yourself
Right.
over there. And in each bucket, I have myself, or whoever does the roadmap to sanity, either client or during my workshop or whatever, they pick a word that they want to feel,
Mm,
because I truly believe when we set these goals, right? So in my word, it's so funny. My spiritual word is contentment, right? Like
mm,
that's my spiritual word. I want to
wow.
feel content. I want to feel connected higher to my higher power, and just feel content in his arms, right? And in
Right.
his thoughts. My physical, I want to feel endurance. So what does
Mm,
that mean? So
wow.
once we get that word, and then we set the goal and the small action steps to get to that goal, when stuff comes up that throws us out of our zone of contentment,
Right.
we align with that word. And isn't it easier to connect with a feeling than an actual object
Yeah.
or a goal?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's just a beautiful exercise. And it's called the Roadmap to Sanity. And
Right.
it's really simple. It's just a simple little roadmap that I put together. I don't know if
Right.
everyone could see that.
Yeah, that looks great. I
Yeah, so it's a super tool that people use, and that's really the work that I've been doing, has developed this feeling to being a productivity and leadership coach. It's all about getting things done, right?
right.
And understanding that if something comes up, you know, you have to shift. You have to,
Right.
and it's hard to, right? When you're a planner and something new comes in and
Right.
you need to make a shift. Or in the fall, my mother-in-law passed away, and we had to
Mm,
head to Florida, and we were away for like 4 weeks, and then we had a quarantine for 2 more when we came back. And but the shifting that had to take place is like, when are we getting home? Do I need to move clients? Right? And it was like, I could feel that word
right.
contentment was not anywhere near
Right.
myself at that time. But I had to bring myself to that place, because
Right.
that's what I needed. That's what my husband needed at the time, right? Like,
Right.
he needed to feel that he was able to heal the way he needed to heal through that particular
Right.
process. So
Wow.
I
It's
don't know.
yeah, I will definitely if you can share, a link to or download, I'll definitely put in the comments and give people access to that, because it's we say things like, be smarter, do smart goals, and don't work too hard, and work smart, and all those things. But then there's a part of me that always does it the hard way.
Exactly.
It feels like it's like this has to hurt for it to work, right?
And we're entrepreneurs. That's just
Right.
our right. That's our mindset. We just do
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
to have a really clear, simple way of saying that how I'm feeling is out of alignment to what my goal
Mhm.
is, and all that. I mean, it reminded me of Maya Angelou's um, quote, right? People won't remember what you say, right, but how you make
Mhm.
them feel, right?
Right.
And so it's really the feeling that we have. We're more connected to that. Even as powerful as words are, our feelings, you know, that mean nothing and everything.
Mm,
hold us, hold us
right.
captive. And,
Yes.
I've talked about, a couple of times that our, it's amazing how many places we can be in at the same time. You, you
Mm,
know, we're sitting here, but we're worried about that, and we're there, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, get present. And there was
mm.
um, a workshop that I did a number of years ago. It was called "Stop Looking for Balance, Get Present."
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
and because when we look at balance, we look at
Mm,
the scale, right? So
mhm,
we think that, hey, I spent 5 hours at work. I need to spend 5 hours at home. It doesn't work that way,
mhm.
right?
No,
But
no.
that's what we think it should be. That's what we're conditioned to think. But the more that when you're at work, you get things done quicker, right?
It's true.
Because most of the times when I'm not present to my work and I'm all over the place, I don't get stuff done, right? And it
Mhm.
takes longer, right?
Yes.
So, and then it's the same thing at home. I get home and it's like I'm still worried about what happened or didn't happen at work, and then I'm not present at home, and then I have to deal with that, right? You're here and you're not here.
Mhm.
And it's that type of thing. And so what's coming up for me right now is contentment. Is I think it's a gift of being present, right?
Spot on. Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
like it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you want contentment, get present, right?
Mhm.
That's it. And
Right.
it's like, really get where you are. And I think, um for me, there are so many things that 2020 taught us and revealed to me. And I don't know if a lot of other people, because I was already looking before pandemic and all the other kind of stuff happened. That's just the way I am, right? It's like,
Mhm.
hey, how is this going on? I blame it on Sesame Street. It's like one of these
Yeah,
things are not like the other. So I'm always looking for what is not supposed to be around here, right? Right.
that's awesome.
So yeah, that's my Sesame Street conspiracy. But no, so it for me, that the gift of really recognizing what was important, what's important to me, what am I not going to put up anymore, what lie am I going to stop telling myself, you
Mhm.
know, and people say that um, things reveal us, right? Things make us, right? Something happens and it makes us, right? Or something. I
Mm,
see, because I don't believe that. So I believe things reveal us, right? And it's an opportunity to see who we are. And and there are sometimes I show up as a wonderful person, right? And sometimes something happens and I don't show up as a wonderful person, but that's okay too,
mhm.
because I'm not always wonderful, and I'm not, a terrible person all the time. So, because the more that I embrace that, I can be content with myself,
Mhm.
that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be right all the time. I don't have to do all those things that we put on ourselves to keep us from connecting to ourselves and others, because we're trying to live up something that is, impossible from the beginning. So
Exactly.
that's why contentment is not available to so many people, is because their mindset around what their life should be versus, you know, I'm alive.
What it is,
That's right,
exactly.
what it is.
Yeah, comparisons and all of that, and being a great place of accepting, right? Like,
Mhm.
so if my husband is in IT, so he knows they do these what are they called? Like I forgot what it's called, but a launch like on Thursdays, right? Like they
Right,
go
okay.
and they do this thing. He knows that Thursdays is a very long day. It's a very
Mm.
long day. It starts early in the morning and it could go to 10 o'clock at night.
Wow.
He understands that. That's acceptance. He doesn't carry any resentment around the fact,
Right.
which in turns makes him content and enjoy his life and his job and his beautiful career that he has.
Right.
So it's
Wow.
accepting, right? It's accepting the fact that there are things in our life that are not perfect.
Right.
And once we stop comparing and
Mhm.
we start accepting, I think that's when the contentment really starts coming in.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
that's what I see.
yeah, it's real. It
Mm,
really feels like I said, that's the opportunity. But
mhm, it
look,
is.
without getting on a soapbox by
Yeah.
any means, it feels like there is more um, in this awakening time. There are more people that are just pissed off that they're awake versus what are they going to do now that I'm awake, right?
Mhm.
The benefit of being awake.
Yes, I love that.
There were so I didn't realize that there were so many areas of my life that I just accepted as that's just what it is. I'm not going to look.
Mhm.
I'm not going to, and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
until I started looking around and go, whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't want this, right? This is why I'm getting this. This is why I have a pain in the neck. This is why, all the things that I was like allowing to happen in my life because there was this contentment, but there was this it was more like resignation. I guess it really wasn't
Mhm.
contentment, but I labeled it content that contentment, right? But it
Right.
was really resignation. And resignation is a totally different energy, totally different place. And there is little to no power, in my opinion, in resignation. And uh, so realizing that there were so many areas in my life that I had resigned that's what it was,
Mm.
but labeled it contentment, and that's and I wonder why I didn't have the power that I needed to do, um, basically to live in my life.
Right. Absolutely. Excuse me. That's exactly what it is. I think when we allow everything around us just to be,
Mm,
but then be aware of what are we allowing it to be, right?
mm,
Excuse me, I have a dry. And then all of the sudden, when you're awakened, and that's what happened with me, I really got an awakening around what I allowed my life to be. And
right,
then all of a sudden, that's when the leaps of faith stepped in. That's
right,
when contentment started truly showing up and showing me, wow, wow, this is the self discovery journey. This is
right,
what it's all about. And when you find contentment, it doesn't mean that things are just like a fairyland and everything is going to
right,
be okay all the time. And you just are okay. All right. You want to do that? Then fine. No, it's when you get a taste of it, you want more of it. Right. And
hmm
then you're like, then you stop and say, okay, how come I'm feeling like this?
right,
What is this? Like you said, is this really contentment or am I just accepting what's going on? And there's a
right,
difference. There is definitely a difference between the two of them.
right,
Um, but I truly feel that once I started feeling contentment is when everything started aligning. My
right,
faith started aligning, my
right,
choices started aligning, everything started waking up. And that's what I'm finding is when I'm coaching my clients, that's what ends up happening is
right,
their alignment starts, and that's when they may be able to be a corporate jumper and leave their corporate job to start their new business, right?
right,
And that's when they're in their new business, I'm able to help them get to the next level because we've really built a foundation around this is what you're dealing with and
mm,
what are the feelings around that, and
right,
then let's unearth what that means and where you're going to go from there.
right,
So yeah, it's a big journey, right? It
right.
really is a journey. And I'm sure if you I would love to interview some people that are in their 90s, right?
Hmm.
And ask them that question.
Yeah.
You know, what was the biggest time in your life where you felt content? Did you ever feel content? Can you imagine the
Right.
stories that they must have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great question. And it's like,
Mhm.
for me, looking back over my years, when is those times? There was there was a time that I felt that there was a level of being naive that it
Mm.
was like I wasn't aware. So there was this, so it's like, oh yeah, everything is great. Everybody, other people around me, it's like, dude, you're in denial, right?
Wake up.
It's right. It's like, type of thing. So if that would be a very interesting, because over 90 years,
Yeah.
you will have the comparison of, this is when I was awake and this is when I wasn't awake, right? Right,
Mhm.
this is when I thought this was the case, and this is when I knew that wasn't the case, right?
Mhm.
And kind of go from there. I think we can talk about this for hours, but
I'm sure we could.
I'm content, right? Right?
Yes, this
To
is
allow this
beautiful.
to allow this conversation to
Mhm.
wind down. What
Yeah.
what has come up in this conversation for you that you would want to? It's like, if you didn't hear anything else, this is what I want you to get from this conversation for me.
Mm. Um, I would say to allow yourself to be there,
Hmm.
right? Just allow yourself the ability to sit in silence and reflect on
Hmm.
what's going on in your life right now. Not because of other people, but what's going on right now,
Right.
and reflect in that moment, and then
Right.
decide, and then unearth that and spend some time around that.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm,
Just take that time.
silence.
It's that. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. This has been a great conversation.
I've enjoyed
And
it too. Thank
I
you.
can really, it's like just benefiting from knowing the difference between contentment and resignation. That's like
Mhm.
gold right there, right? Right.
Yeah.
If we can identify that, then we could show up differently to our lives.
Mhm.
So thank you very much. I'm gonna put you in the green room. If you're able to stay, that'd be great. But this has
Sure.
been wonderful.
Awesome.
Wow. Uh, for me, there's a lot of my meditation work that includes breathing. And so when I think of contentment, it's like, just take a breath. Just be with that. Just kind of just release any stress, anxiety, and all of those things that will cause you to not have contentment in your life. And recognizing the difference between, you know, being at peace and just giving up. I mentioned earlier within the conversation that being present, the gift of being present is contentment. Yeah. So I invite you to be present. I would love for you to share how contentment is coming up for you, and just how this conversation is showing up for you. I invite you to reach out to me at imwilliambrown.com for a complimentary coaching session to help you be yourself and live your life. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and see you tomorrow on One Word Conversations.